On the night of March 1st, 2026, a swarm of Iranian drones crossed into UAE airspace and did something no military force had ever done before. They struck a cloud data center, not a military base, not an oil refinery, a data center. Two Amazon Web Services facilities in the United Arab Emirates were hit directly. A third site in Bahrain was damaged by a nearby detonation. Within minutes, fires erupted inside the buildings. Automated sprinkler systems activated, dousing racks of servers with water. Power was cut to prevent further explosions. By the time emergency crews arrived, the damage was already catastrophic. 9 core AWS services, including EC2 compute, S3 storage, and DynamoDB went down. Error rates spiked across the region. Amazon confirmed that the strikes caused structural damage, disrupted power delivery, and triggered fire suppression flooding. Staff were evacuated from the facilities. The data center designated DXB62 was sealed off entirely. This was not a cyber attack. This was not a software glitch. This was a physical kinetic strike on the backbone of the modern internet. And the shockwaves were only beginning. To understand why this matters, you need to understand how Amazon Web Services operates. AWS runs 39 geographic regions worldwide. Each region is divided into multiple availability zones, physically separate data centers spaced within 100 kilometers of each other, connected by high-speed fiber. The Middle East hosts 3 of these regions. ME Central 1 covers the UAE with 3 availability zones. ME South 1 covers Bahrain with another 3. And there is a dedicated region in Israel. Together, these facilities do not just serve local businesses. They are the digital backbone for fintech platforms across Africa, logistics networks in South Asia, and media services reaching half the developing world. OpenAI has said its planned UAE campus could eventually serve half the global population. AWS designed these facilities with redundancy in mind. If one zone fails, traffic automatically shifts to another. But what happens when 2 out of 3 zones in a single region go down simultaneously? That is exactly what occurred. The drone strikes overwhelmed the system's built-in failover capacity. Amazon told customers to migrate workloads immediately to alternate regions in the United States, Europe, or Asia Pacific. For companies that had concentrated their operations in the Middle East, the warning came too late. The theoretical weakness in cloud architecture had become a real-world crisis. Within 24 hours of the strikes, the biggest names in technology began pulling out of the Middle East. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang sent a company-wide email confirming that the Dubai office had been temporarily closed. All employees were ordered to work remotely. Nvidia has roughly 6,000 staff in Israel, a legacy of its $7.13 billion acquisition of Mellanox Technologies in 2019. Every one of them was accounted for and reported safe. Amazon went further. It shuttered all corporate offices across the Middle East. This was not just about the damaged data centers. It was about employee safety in an active war zone. Google faced a different kind of crisis. Dozens of its employees had been attending a sales conference in Dubai. When the strikes began, they were stranded. With more than 11,000 flights canceled across the region and major airports, including Dubai International, Abu Dhabi Zayed, and Doha Hamad, all hit by Iranian strikes, there was simply no way out. Google's cloud unit confirmed that most affected staff were in region and being supported. Snap advised all Middle East office employees to work remotely. The U.S. State Department issued its strongest possible warning. Depart now. Evacuation flights were being arranged for American citizens. The message was unmistakable. The Gulf was no longer safe for big tech operations. The physical damage inside the data centers revealed something the cloud industry had never been forced to confront. Data center DXB62 in the UAE took a direct hit. The drone strike caused an immediate fire. Automated fire suppression systems activated, spraying water across rows of active servers. Flooding inside the facility reached over an inch at its peak. More than a dozen EC2 server racks were destroyed, along with additional production infrastructure. The second UAE facility, DXB61, was shut down on March 1st, after an indirect impact caused a smaller fire. Structural cracks were found in load-bearing walls. In Bahrain, the drone landed near the facility rather than on it, but the blast wave still damaged surrounding infrastructure, severing network connections and disrupting power feeds. Amazon's official statement was stark. These strikes have caused structural damage, disrupted power delivery, and in some cases, required fire suppression activities that resulted in additional water damage. Recovery was expected to be prolonged. Cloud infrastructure was designed to survive software failures, power outages, even natural disasters. It was never designed to survive a military drone strike. Physical security at data centers. Guards, fences, cameras exists to prevent unauthorized intrusion, not to repel missiles. As one security analyst told Fortune, this exposed the Achilles heel of the Western digital economy. The cloud is not in the sky. It is in a building, and buildings can burn. Less than a year ago, the Gulf was being celebrated as the next great frontier for artificial intelligence. In May 2025, President Trump's 4-day tour of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE produced more than $2 trillion in investment pledges. Saudi Arabia committed $600 billion. The UAE pledged $1.4 trillion targeting AI and advanced chips. Qatar signed deals worth $1.2 trillion. Microsoft alone announced $15.2 billion for AI infrastructure. In the UAE through 2029, a consortium led by OpenAI and Nvidia unveiled plans for Stargate UAE, the largest AI campus outside the United States. Amazon committed $5 billion to an AI hub in Riyadh with Saudi Arabia's state-backed Humane. The Trump administration eased chip export restrictions, approving up to 500,000 cutting-edge Nvidia processors annually for the Gulf. In return, Abu Dhabi's G42 cut ties with China's Huawei. The premise was simple. The Gulf offered stability, abundant energy, and massive capital. The West provided chips and platforms. Then came the drones. The Center for Strategic and International Studies published an analysis titled, "If Compute is the New Oil, War in the Gulf significantly raises the stakes." CSIS warned that just as pipelines and refineries were targets in the oil era, data centers and undersea fiber cables are the strategic targets of the AI era. Nobody planned for what would happen when the buildings housing those chips were hit by Iranian missiles. The damage did not stay in the Middle East. Within hours of the AWS outage, users around the world began reporting failures in services. They had never connected to the Gulf. Anthropic's Claude AI experienced a global outage starting at 11:49 UTC on March 2nd. Error rates spiked across the web interface, mobile applications, and API services. Social media erupted with speculation. Reddit threads connected the dots. Claude's infrastructure runs on AWS. When the Middle East region went down, cascading failures rippled through interconnected systems worldwide. Anthropic confirmed the outage was resolved, but did not publicly attribute it to the drone strikes. Meanwhile, ChatGPT users also reported intermittent disruptions during the same window. The incident echoed a vulnerability exposed in 2024, when 4 undersea cables in the Red Sea were cut near Yemen's Bab al-Mandab Strait, disrupting roughly a quarter of internet traffic between Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. Houthi forces were accused of the sabotage. The pattern was becoming unmistakably clear. The modern digital economy has concentrated its most critical infrastructure in geographically vulnerable locations. Gulf data centers serve as digital gateways to Africa, South Asia, and beyond. When they fail, the cascading impact reaches far beyond the region. Rest of World reported that the Gulf's promise to Silicon Valley, "Bring your data, and we will give you stability," ended in flames. As one analyst warned, U.S. tech firms can no longer assume that running civilian services in the region will keep them out of the target set. The drone strikes on AWS data centers mark a turning point, not just for cloud computing, but for global security. 3 facilities hit, 9 core services disrupted, 5 major tech companies forced to evacuate, over 11,000 flights canceled, $15.2 billion in AI investment, suddenly exposed to a threat no one had budgeted for. CSIS warned that if compute is the new oil, the United States cannot win the global AI race without deepening its exposure in a volatile region. But deepening that exposure means accepting that data centers will sit in the crosshairs of every future conflict. Gulf nations have already signaled their response. Companies will reinforce buildings, move critical operations underground, and push customers to distribute data across multiple countries. But as one expert told Rest of World, it is cheaper to attack than to defend. The question is no longer whether cloud infrastructure can be targeted in a war. That question was answered definitively on March 1st. The real question is what happens next. Will the $2 trillion AI bet on the Gulf survive? Will big tech double down or pull out entirely?